Hello everybody, welcome to our draft analysis for the Regi Steel division of the World Pokemon Federation. The WPF Steel division, WPF Regi divisions are the off-meta divisions, and as we've seen with how I play in draft, I definitely am a lot better at off-metas than I am at just standard nat decks. I'm pretty sure WPF should be a name everybody should know. It's definitely one of the largest leagues out there. There's a lot of divisions. There's Regi divisions, Deoxys divisions, and Weather divisions. Weather divisions were VGC, Deoxys divisions were NatDeck Standard, and Regi divisions, as I said, are the off metas that are chosen by the community. We made it into the Regi Steel division, and these are not separated by skill, so I am at best a defense level coach, and probably one of the bottom tier defense level coaches if we're looking at defense is the lowest division in WPF, and I could be facing coaches that could be speed and higher. So this could get a little bit more dicey in who we play in terms of just skill in general, but we're gonna try our best. And it is a meta that we've tried before. It is a trashmons meta, which we did do TGB. Now we did not make playoffs in TGB. We choked our last 2 weeks, which we needed to win to make playoffs. So it was a major F. But we're back in WPF Steel with a vengeance for the trashmons. Trashmons, I really enjoyed TGB trashmons. It was a lot of fun to do. Just really fun to play the games, really fun to prep. The teams were super fun to watch. Playoff games have been something so far, but it's about time that we start fresh. And it's gonna be a longer season than TGB, so we have more time to enjoy our team and everything. Anyway, so into our team, we were, I believe, the 5th pick in the draft. Is what I think we were. Now the tier list. This is 4 points and under, or TGB was 3 points and under, so this is an upgrade from TGB's tier list. Typhlosion got banned, which I'm very sad about because it's not good enough to be banned. I have seen it in TGB, and that thing is not do enough to get banned. But then there was stuff like Alolan Ninetales, no snow warning at the top. There was Magmortar, Basculin, Guzzlord, and all that stuff. So I wanted to use Magmortar because I've used it in Speed Tours and just really enjoyed using it. It's very good in low tier metas. It's still they're one of my favorite low tiers to use in Standard as well. It went 2nd overall, which is big oops. So I was like, okay, well then I'll get Basculin. Basculin went 3rd overall. And I'm like, okay, now I'll get Alolan Ninetales. And then Alolan Ninetales goes right before me. So I got sniped so many times this draft that my team is not what I wanted the team to be because so much of it just got sniped, just snatched right before my hand. Because this tier list was wonky, I think to say the least. A lot of things were under tiered. I don't really think there was much that was over tiered. But a lot of it was under tiered. There's a lot of Pokemon in the lower tier that definitely should have been a lot higher. There's 2 18 pointers left, and I'm looking at both of them. It's Weezing and Alolan Executor. And I'm just thinking, okay, why want to get an 18 pointer? Since I'm so high in the draft, I don't think it's worth it getting something like Kangaskhan so early on in the draft, because I can maybe get something like that if it comes back to me. So I did want to use Kangaskhan, but I didn't end up getting Kangaskhan at the end of the day. So I was like, okay, what do I want more? I really didn't want Alolan Executor. I kind of just didn't like it so much. I think it didn't fit as well. I guess I think I can compare it the best to Latios. It just runs Specs Draco all the time. I guess it's the best I can compare it to when it comes to this type of a meta. But no, I just didn't like it, so of course I grabbed the other 18 pointer available, and that's gonna be a Cantonian Weezing. Weezing is a strange Pokemon. I wasn't really thinking of my first pick because I'd been sniped so many times. I was just trying to get something usable, and I wasn't even at my house when I made this pick. I was over at family's house, so I'm like, okay, you know what? I'll just get Weezing, and I'll figure out what I want to do with it when it gets back to me. But Weezing is really good defensively in this meta. It's a very good defensive Pokemon. Pure Poison is a pretty decent defensive typing, especially with the Levitate ability, allowing it to effectively only have 1 weakness. I don't really think there's much Mold Breaker mons in this meta. I think the Mold Breaker mons are Sock and Throw, I believe, are the Mold Breaker mons we're going to be encountering. So I think it's just fine. It's just fine as a whole. It's just a very Psychic Dominant meta with very few Steel types, very few Dark types, and all that stuff. This is like a dominant meta, so it's not the best to have that Psychic weakness very early on. But Weezing is just very good because it's a very good defensive Pokemon on the team, and it gives a great defensive backbone very early on in the draft, which, as we know, is something that I do like to prioritize in drafts, just getting good defensive backbones and just having things for my team to fall upon, so being reliable like that. It still has base 85 special attack, which is actually really good for this meta, and allows it to be able to run Sludge Bomb, allows it to be able to run Fire Blast or Flamethrower, and be slightly offensive. Its special defense is a little bit lower combined with low HP, but in this type of a meta, that's still pretty decent. It's still even taking hits pretty well. It does get Pain Split, which combined with its lower HP, allows it to take a chunkier Pokemon's HP and just half that down, which is very, very good for Weezing. It can Will-O-Wisp. It doesn't get Defog, which is very sad. I don't know why it doesn't get Defog, because Galar Weezing gets Defog, which I don't know why they didn't give it to regular Weezing too. It does get T-Spikes, it gives me instant Toxic Spikes, and if I don't want to run Levitate, if I don't need to run Levitate that game, I can run Neutralizing Gas or something like that to have a grounded Poison type for Toxic Spikes. But I think my removal on this team ended up being decent enough to I shouldn't need to do that very often. But overall, I think Weezing's just a very good Pokemon to draft in this meta because I just think it has a lot going for it. And there's not really a lot of downsides to grabbing Weezing. Not a lot of downsides to getting a really good defensive Pokemon very early on in the draft. Because that just gives me something to have as a backbone for whatever I decide to build upon for the rest of this draft. So my second pick comes around, and I was looking at what pairs well with Weezing, and I saw one Pokemon in particular, and it was like a little bit after I made my pick, so I didn't. So it was a little bit to my pick, and I saw this thing. I'm like, oh, this team works with Weezing really well. I hope that it gets back to me. It just works with Weezing really well because it's typing combined with Weezing really well defensively and offensively. And I was like, yes, I want to use this thing with Weezing, and it made it to me. That is going to be Pepe the Frog himself, Poliwrath. Now, Poliwrath is a Pokemon. It is a very threatening physical breaker for this type of a meta, and if you're looking at its stats, this looks exactly like my type of Pokemon. It is offensive and it is bulky, which we all know I do really love my bulky offensive Pokemon. Poliwrath is just a very good Pokemon for this type of a meta because it's just very good. It's very threatening physically offensive breaker. It's very good at running choice items, choice scarf, choice fan. It can run both of those items really efficiently. It can run Life Orb. I believe it does get Bulk Up, though I'm not 100% sure. It does get Belly Drum though, so it can run Belly Drum Salic Berry sets to sweep teams. And overall, it just pairs really well with Weezing. Like if you're looking at it, it beats ground types for Weezing. Weezing beats fairy types for it. It beats steel types for Weezing. You know, like that kind of stuff. There's a few more that I think I'm probably missing. I don't plan these draft analysis very much, if you can't tell. So it's just very good to have that very early on. It just works with Weezing very well. So it defeats a lot of those types that Weezing may have struggled switching into. It does have Darkest Lariat, so it can still counter Psychic types, but Psychic types this meta are either very fast or very bulky, meaning that there's not a good chance that Poliwrath would be able to abuse Darkest Lariat unless it's on a switch-in. Poliwrath is very good. Close combat, liquidation hits so many things, and then Ice Punch for those grass types just hits so many things at once. Choice Band, Life Orb hits really hard. It can be weather extending items are not allowed, weather abilities are not allowed, but it can run Manual Rain, Swift Swim if it doesn't need the extra move slot and it doesn't need the extra power from something like Life Orb or Choice Band, because liquidation in the rain, it still probably would be on Life Orb. So Life Orb liquidation in the rain is incredibly powerful and very hard to switch into for this meta. And I think that makes Poliwrath a very strong Pokemon. And it does, I believe if I'm correct, it does have Water Absorb, so it does give me a water immunity as well for when it's not running rain. So when it has to run, so it can just run Water Absorb and be a water immunity. It doesn't threaten water types out as much as it would like to. I don't remember if it gets Thunder Punch or not. But CC still bops so many things, and this thing is very, very powerful. Sadly, it doesn't get Flip Turn. I do really wish it got Flip Turn. But there isn't really a lot of passive options for me to click with this thing, which just means that it's going to be a very good Pokemon, because I won't play too safe, I won't play too passive, and overall it just fits really well with my playstyle in general. So, next pick. I need a Special Breaker, because Weezing's special and can break, but it's rather going to be, I'd rather run a defensive and not put so much pressure on it. More so more how it would like to be. I also do need to solve my psychic weakness. I need pivot, I need removal, and that kind of stuff. I see one Pokemon that really fits this team, Morpeko. Really fits this team because it covers my fighting weakness because it's a dark type. It gives me a pivot. It gives me removal. It gives me almost everything that I need, just all at once. Sadly, it got sniped, which was really hurt because I wanted that thing so bad. I used it in RKS, RIP RKS, and just loved it. So I had to get something else. I was originally going to get Bolton, but I needed a special breaker and I didn't want to grab Jolteon. So I saw a dark type. It's not a very defensive dark type, but it's probably the best dark type I was going to be able to get at that point. That was going to be semi-defensive. But it also gave me a special breaker and everything like that, so it works pretty well. That's going to go, and that's going to be Houndoom. Now, Houndoom is a very good Pokemon. 110 special attack, 95 speed is very threatening for the type of a meta. And its special bulk is not that bad. Its physical bulk leaves a lot to be desired, but especially it's not that bad. It does get Nasty Plot. I believe it does get Sludge Bomb, so it can still hit Fairy types. It's not weak to Fairy types, which is really good. And Flamethrower just hits a lot of things. It can run Boots, it can run Life Orb. It just always is gonna hit things really hard, pretty much no matter what. I'd say one special attack is nothing to laugh at in this meta. That's incredibly respectable to the point of people being feared, just being feared. It's very good in this meta. It also does break steel types for Weezing. It breaks psychic types, which is good for Poliwrath. It's also pretty good for Weezing defensively. And it's just a very good Pokemon in general. It's a fast Pokemon. It gives me a setup sweeper, and it gives me a lot of those threats that are needed right away. It also is a little biased to me because I have a Doberman, so I also pick Houndoom because I've always loved Houndoom because I like Dobermans. So, ha. But there's really a lot to say on Houndoom because it's a very self-explanatory special breaker slash setup sweeper. Because once it's special attack, Flamethrower, Fire Blast, Dark Pulse, Sludge Bomb, that kind of stuff just ends up hitting a lot of things. It does get Sucker Punch, so it can revenge kill. It does still have base 90 attack, meaning it can run physical sets. So it's not going to be doing that much, and I don't even think it gets Flare Blitz. It can still use Sucker Punch and utilize that to be Revenge Killer as well. But it's mainly probably going to be Revenge Killing with its amazing speed, but Sucker Punch could be good if it's trying to Revenge Kill a Scarfer, or maybe a Psychic type that is faster than it. So overall, I really like this pick. I really like Houndoom. I think fits the team pretty well. I think that's a really good starting 3 right away. Great defensive backbone, great physical breaker, great special breaker. Immediately 3 things instantly that I'm really prioritizing in a type of Trashmons meta, where if you notice me in Trashmons, power goes first. That's what everybody gets. Right away, everybody gets the setup sweepers, everybody gets the breakers immediately. Nobody's prioritizing getting removal or pivots or anything like that very early on. So you kind of have to follow along with that, and you have to get as much power as possible early on, because there's a lot of low tier value for pivots, utility, and removal. And that's something that you're going to see with the strats, is that I end up getting a lot of those low tier stuff. So for our next pick, I believe I know what it is. I'm not 100% sure. I'm pretty sure it's this thing. Yep, I was right. It is Emolgas. Emolga is utility. I did reach a bit for Emolga, but I didn't want to risk it getting taken. I'm pretty sure a few people had their eyes on this thing, and I'd rather not risk it getting taken from me and get it immediately. As I said, Emolga is utility. Its stats are, they're very It has really good speed, passable attacking stats, and god-awful bulk. As I said, it's just straight up utility. It's knockoff, defog, pivots. It is just full-on utility as a Pokemon. It does get Energy Ball, so it can still take on ground types. It can be offensive, though offensive Emolga is its thing. I would like to say it's Zapdos, because it's Zapdos typing, it's faster than Zapdos and all that stuff, but it's not defensive in the slightest. It does give me an electric immunity, so that is pretty good as a whole. It doesn't really scare out electrics on its own. But it does have Roost, so it can heal up, it does pivot, it gets U-turn, Voltage, and Baton Pass. So like if I end up facing the Gabite team, I can run Baton Pass if I don't want to take any rough skin chip and all that stuff. Just makes it very good. It does get knockoff, so it is knockoff support, which is very good in these type of metas. And I can knockoff spam a lot better on a team that doesn't have a Golurk on it. But overall, I just think that this pick's really well. This pick is very good. It pairs pretty well with the team. It does give me another ground immunity and does have energy ball, so it can threaten out ground types, which is good. because my team didn't have a grass type, didn't have a ground resist, and we didn't have, and Weezing was our immunity to ground types. So I feel like it was just better just to not put so much pressure on Weezing and immediately put something onto Emolga too, to have it just be a very good Pokemon for us. Now for my next pick, I also believe I know what it is. I think my next pick actually got sniped. I wanted Gabite because Gabite is goated. It is better than Garchomp because Garchomp is absolute trash. Uh, but sadly got sniped by Scroast, which was big sad. I said I got sniped so many times this draft, and I'm not even joking with how many times my plan shifted. Like, you can literally ask Paul, somebody that I was sharing my draft plan with because he was making picks for me and everything. Uh, my draft plan changed so much because everything just kept getting sniped. I was originally going to get Emolga later. I wanted to get Mawile right then, but Mawile got sniped, and I was like, okay, I'll get Emolga. Then I'll get Gabite. Gabite got sniped. I'm like, I'm literally losing everything that made my plan what it is. But I needed a replacement for Gabite. That's gonna go ahead, and that's gonna be Carl the Fracture. Fracture is also really good. It lacks Gabite having Stealth Rocks and just being more of a bulky Pokemon in general. But Fracture's still pretty good. It is 6-7 base speed, so it's not exactly very fast. It does get Dragon Dance and it's faster than Sheldon, so it probably will be better than what Sheldon was back in TGB. This is 117 attack, which is really really respectable. It does have Evolite, so it is pretty bulky in general, and it's just really good of a Pokemon for this type of meta. I don't know if it gets Scale Shot or not. It gets Dragon Dance though. It has alright coverage. It's pretty good. It's kind of like a baby Haxorus, I guess you can say. It's Dragon Dance, it's Choice Band, it's that kind of stuff. And that's just kind of what's going to be running a lot. I probably don't really see it coming to a lot of matchups since Dragon just offensively is kind of meh in this meta. I get to say it's a good spammable type. It's not something that you're going to be using to counter Pokemon because there isn't a lot of other Dragon types that you're going to need to be facing off against. And Fracture is too slow to efficiently take those on. But I just think that Fracture would just... Dragon is a very spammable type though, because there's a lot of steals and there isn't a lot of fairies. So Dragon's spammable. It's just not good if you're looking for coverage. Dragon isn't coverage. If you're looking for a spammable type, Dragon is definitely a type to go for. I think that's what's gonna make Fracture good for this team. Now, as I said, you want to get utility with your lower tiers when it comes to trashmons. And that's what I started to do here because I saw another utility mon that I personally thought was a little bit underpriced. And that's gonna go ahead, and that's gonna be Illumise. Illumise it's very similar to Emolga. It is utility. It's a pivot, it's wish, it's a status spam, it's removal, it's that kind of stuff. That's really what Illumise is. It's not offensive, it's not really that defensive. It is just a utility mon meant to help this team out. With Prankster, it can spread T-Waves, which can help with a lot of very devastating setup sweepers. Toxic is also really good in the Trashmons meta. So if anybody didn't know that, just look at my TGB games and see how much I like to spam Toxic. This is very good in type of a meta. Especially Prankster Toxic will be really good. Just against pretty much anything. It really helps put timers on things, helps put timers on walls, put timers on sweepers. And just praying if we don't miss the Toxics. I'm looking at 2 Samurott. Then this thing can actually help us a lot in games. I do have less faith in it because in a speed tour, I got the semis and this thing missed a T-Wave and lost me the game. So, I'm not too happy with Illumise as a whole. Just in terms of that, but I think Illumise can still redeem itself. It does get U-turn and also does the baton pass at the same time. Stat passing isn't allowed, only dry passing is allowed, so... It's only everly running U-turn unless they said against a rough skin Pokemon and it just can't afford to take that chip, then it can run that. It does get Wish, which is good because that allows it to Wish Pass around the team. Its lower HP is still fine in type of a meta because I've Wish Passed with a Plusle in Trashmons. Illumise. My headset just keeps shutting off me in the middle of my recordings. It really needs to stop doing this. But as I said, I've Wish Passed with a Plusle in Trashmons. Illumise is a direct upgrade for a Wish Passer. But Plusle is still my beloved. If I didn't get Emolga, I might have just I might have just gotten Plusle again. Because that thing was 1 point. It is way better than anything down there at 1 point. If you don't know how goated Plusle is, that thing is actually cracked. But Illumise is just very good for that utility. It gives me another pivot, which is good for the team. It gives me some more removal. So I do have I do have 2 removers now, which I think is pretty good. I do have 2 pivots, which is good as well. Helps my team out a lot with my offensive threats like Houndoom, getting them in safely. So that's all that I really have for now on this team. That's all I really have for now on Illumise. There's really a lot to say on it. It's a very self-explanatory Pokemon. I said it's just utility, not really anything else. Not meant to be defensive, not meant to be offensive. It's meant to be utility for the entire team, just to kind of help support the team. So if I can remember what my next pick is, and I believe I do know what it is. Yes, I do. So next up, I needed some more bulk to this team. I needed to add some more bulk pretty quickly, because I like my bulky teams. Well, I do like my bulky teams. And what's better, good or reliable Porygon 2? Porygon 2 isn't in this meta. Porygon is Ooga Booga squared. This is Harbor's child. Harbor is also in this league. Praise Porygon. Porygon is bulky. Not much to say about it. It's Discount Porygon 2. It's Trick Room. It's Teleport. It's just meant to be an annoyance. Knockoff is good in this meta, which definitely downgraded it a bit because people are just gonna knockoff spam against it. But it is just absolutely insane. Teleport, try attack, though it's pretty hard. It's 85 base special attack. It can set up Trick Room if you need to set up Trick Room. So I don't want to bring if I don't want to bring a Dragon Dance Fraction, I don't really need to outspeed, and I need to outspeed some things faster than it. I can run Trick Room. I can run Trick Room self-sweeping Porygon. I'm pretty much gonna use this thing like I use Porygon 2, which is just as bulky annoyance, and that's what it's supposed to be. Teleport, Thunder Wave, Toxic, Tri Attack, so it's really hard, and statuses every goddamn time. That move is insane. Porygon is just very good for what it does of being, as I said, being an offensive annoyance. Very difficult to break through because it's only weak to fighting type, and I have a Weezing right there. So if you're trying to fighting type spam, I got a Weezing, I got an Emolga. So yeah, good luck with that. It gives me an amazing slow pivot, which I really needed with this team. It gives me an amazing slow pivot to get in Poliwrath, to get in Houndoom, to get in Fracture. It just gives me a really great pivot for a lot of my team, and really fits the way I like to play. And really just fits the way I like to build around my teams. And in Speed Tours, I always try to draft this thing in Trashmons Speed Tours, just because it's very reliable, just as a defensive Pokemon in general. So next pick was that thing. So next pick, I am hurting after that Mawile snipe because my team has literally nothing for dragon types. I know there isn't a lot of really good dragon types in this meta, but my team literally has nothing to counter them defensively. And that Mawile snipe really hurt, as that would have given me a counter to those. That would have given me a pivot. That would have given me hazards. It hurt a lot. But there was this thing which fit some of those things, I guess, that I might have still needed out of Mawile. And that's gonna go ahead, and that's gonna be Carbink. Carbink is a Pokemon. It's not ideal, I guess is the best way to say it, as a defensive fairy. It's insanely passive. It's got 50 in every stat but its defenses, which are really good. So it's a very good bulky Pokemon for this type of a meta, but it can be very passive, especially against a Ghost type when it can't hit with Body Press. It does still get Iron. It still does get Iron Defense and Calm Mind, so it can run full-on wall sets like that to stall out teams. That's definitely not something that I'm opposed to running one week, which I might run. But Carbink's it's alright. It does give me a very reliable hazard setter. There aren't a lot of steel types to defeat it in this meta. It's very similar to Diancie in what it does, just it's a lot more passive. I think Diancie still has base 100 in its attacking stats, something like that. But overall, I just think it's still very good for the Pokemon. I said it's not ideal. I would have rather had Mawile here, but unfortunately, you can't have everything go your way. Even though everything did go my way back in TGB except for Typhlosion Snipe, big sad. But I just think it fits what it needs to do. It gives me reliable hazards. It gives me an offensive Pokemon, which is a very good defensive backbone that takes the pressure off of Weezing. And overall, just fits this team. It fits this team pretty decently as a whole. Now, on to my next pick. I wanted the GOAT, the Chad. Use it in speed tours. It's absolutely amazing. Almost drafted it in TGB. BHM. Wombat, why? Why did you snipe me again? My alien is gone. And now I gotta get this thing. The Ocean is a Pokemon. It's got no defense, but it's got Eviolite, which makes up for that. It's got 125 special attack, so it will kill you. It doesn't get teleport, which I thought it did. It gets Regenerator. That's pretty much all there is to say about this thing. Future Sight Spam. It does have Regenerator, so it is still very difficult to take down. Just get Recover, so it can naturally recover itself. A Psyshock, Future Sight, and stuff will just hit really hard. It can also set up Trick Room, so I do have some Trick Room options in my team. I don't really have much abusers of Trick Room, but I do have Trick Room setters in case I do ever want to make switches to the team to get that Trick Room. Overall, I think it's pretty good. I don't like it as much for the fact that it's an Evolite user weak to knockoff, which is not very good in a meta where that's very spammable. But overall, I think it's still really good. It still fits this team pretty decently. Not as well as BHM would have, because, you know, the funny alien wanted it, but sadly no. But overall, it still fits the team pretty well. It doesn't give me that other pivot, which would have been more ideal to get another slow pivot, but unfortunately, it wasn't meant to be. But it's still really good. I'm still very happy with Duo Vision. I still think it's gonna be very useful to this team, and it's gonna honestly be very good as a whole. Now next, coming into my last two picks, I need to fill a few weaknesses on this team. One of the biggest things is if you look at my team is Basculin Yum Yum. Basculin just eats my whole team alive. I don't really have a lot for Basculin. Emolga is not bulky enough to take Ice Fangs. It gets Psychic Fangs for Poliwrath. So I need to get something that can just take on water types that have coverage for Poliwrath. And what's better than a grass type? Maractus. Yes, I'm drafting a goddamn Maractus. Trashmons is weird, okay? Maractus is pretty good. It's got base 106 special attack. It's not the most defensive Pokemon in the world, but it's defensive enough to take some hits. It's good. As you can say, it's good. It is a water immunity, which is very good because it takes the pressure off of Poliwrath. For being a water immunity, it takes the pressure off of Emolga for being our water resistant. Fracture is also not really much of a water resist. It is good. It fits well defensively. My team is also another ground resist, which is pretty good, and it does threaten out ground types a lot more than Emolga does, so it's a lot more reliable in that type of a sense. But Maractus is still very good in type of a meta. It does get Sucker Punch, it does get Spike, so it is just very good in general. It doesn't really get a lot of coverage as its primary thing, so it's pretty much walled by anything that can take its grass type hits. So fire types, steel types, opposing grass types. It doesn't really deal with those too well. It does get Pin Missile, but it still gets walled decently easily. But it's not really offensive. It's gonna be a lot more defensive. I believe it does also get knockoff, so it is my other knockoff user. I didn't get as many knockoff users as I would have liked to get, but you know, can't get everything sometimes. But I still think it's a very good pick in general. It's better than a lot of the other grass types I had open, stuff like Meganium, Leavanny. Leavanny would have been okay here, but I didn't want to go double bug. But overall, I think it's still a very good pick in general. It fits my team pretty decently. Overall, it just fits the team well. I think it just fits the way that I play pretty decently, and it'll just be a very good defensive Pokemon on this team. So coming to my last pick, I have 6 points left, but I don't want to use all 6 points because there's something in 4 points that I really want. I need a ground type. Are you looking to see when seeing that my electric immunity is an Emolga? I'd rather my electric immunity not just be an Emolga. What's better than Big Papa Hippopotas? This is no Sand Hippopotas. I don't really need Sand on my team though, so I don't mind that much. This is a good Pokemon. It's a lot more bulky. Could my headset stop shutting off in the middle of recordings? That would be great, Mr. Headset. This thing's a lot more bulky than people give it credit for. It also does have base 72 attack, which is pretty decent for anyone with EQ. It is another stealth rock setter. It is a very reliable toxic user, and overall, I think it just fits this team really, really well, just as a whole. It it's something I've enjoyed using. I use it in the speed tours. I just enjoy using it as a whole. I just think it's very good defensively in this type of a meta. It gives me an electric immunity, which I really needed because Emolga being my electric immunity is not ideal. So it's just very good as a whole in on this team. It's just good as on this meta. It's a very good final pay because it's kind of like it's very undervalued I think by a lot of people, but it's a lot more bulky than people do get it credit for. Even especially, it's still pretty bulky with the Violite. Even without ET Violite, it's still decently bulky. I think just bulky enough just to be a good Pokemon in general. So I think this just fits my team as a whole. I think it's just a very good pick. I enjoy using it. It's kind of a comfort ground pick, and it just fits what we needed as well. So overall, that's this whole team. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Guys are excited for our season of WPF. I am very excited to the whole. I really do like this team. It's not the most ideal team, I guess we could say, because the original team I had would have been the most ideal team to get. But unfortunately, not everything can go perfectly, and there is going to be snipes. Some hurt more than others and everything. But overall, I still do think that it's a pretty good team. It fits my playstyle pretty well. I think maybe another pivot would have been nice to get on this team because that maybe would have helped my team just a little bit more. But it's got removal, it's got hazards, it's got the breakers, it's got the momentum, it's got the walls. It's pretty much it fits my team. It fits my playstyle a lot. I think it just works as a whole for what we're able to get out of what we're able to salvage out of a lot of things that had to get sniped. So that's the team. That's our WPF Steel team. Hope you guys are excited for the season. I sure am excited for the season. You can join the WPF server. I will try to link it in the description. I don't remember if I can get an invite link for it or not, but I will try to invite. I'll try to put a link in case you're not in a WPF server. If you are, you can spectate battles live and everything. Just very excited for the season. I'm excited to see how this is gonna go, and just excited to see how this team's gonna go because I do really love the Trashmons meta. Bye.